Hope you're all doing well. Today we're learning Maseches Sanhedrin Daf Pei Beis. Just so much going on the, especially in the Amud Beis in regards to really starting in the bottom of the Amud Aleph. The whole story about Pinchas, who was a kanoi. He was a zealot on behalf of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and he killed people in the middle of a Maises Nus. But it really breaks the rules. It really does break the rules for how we put people to death. So that's what we're going to learn about tonight, is under what circumstances can a kanoi, on his own, he's the judge and jury, right? He does everything and executioner. He does everything on his own. So let's learn about that right now. That's what the Mishnah that starts on the bottom of Pei Aleph Amud Beis, 8 lines from the bottom. Hagone ves hakisva, someone who steals a kisva. We don't know what that is yet. We'll see in the Gemara. V'hamekalel bekosem, a person who curses someone bekosem. We'll see in the Gemara what that means. V'haboel aramis, and a person who is intimate with an aramis. Let's take a look at Rashi here. Rashi, on the line that has the word masnisin, but at the end it says aramis bas oved kochavim. This might apply broadly to anyone who is a shiktzamedel. So anyone who cohabits with a woman like that, or these previous two cases, kanoim pogen bo. So a kanoi, a zealot, can be pogea. They can hurt, really kill this person. For a little bit of background that isn't discussed in the Gemara, let's take a look at Rashi. Rashi, 6-7 lines from the bottom, Dibur Hamaschal, Kanoim Pogen Bo. Bnei Adam Ksherim, you have to be an Adam Kasher. Hamiskanin Bekinaso Shal Makom, who are real zealots for the Eibishter. Pogen Bo B'Shah Shironas HaMaisa. They're allowed to intervene and kill the people who are involved in these things. But if he missed his window, these people do not get handed over to Bezdin. And this Mishnah, when it speaks about the din of Kanoim Pogenbo, that is halacha l'mosh misinai. So first of all, good yidis klalius, that Kanoim Pogenbo is not some extra legal, like rabbinic overlay on top of chive misas bezdin. This is the din d'oraisa. Kanoim Pogenbo is the real deal. So I don't want to take it too far, but it seems to be that if we were a kanoi, and there's a gather to be a kanoi, right? Not everybody is a kanoi. If you were a kanoi, so then perhaps if you witnessed a Jewish male cohabiting with a goy, could be that Kanoim Pogenbo would apply. That's what it seems from our Gemara. Okay. Let's go back into the Mishnah. Kohen sheshimesh betuma. If a Kohen did his service while he was impure, no. This is back alley politics. The young children. And the Meforshim write that the Pirchei Kahuna were 13 to 20. They were ineligible for avoda. They were little children, young children. They took them outside. Yikes. They would take the logs of wood and beat the daylights out of the guy until his head cracked open. They killed him. This is for someone who was mishamesh, a Kohen who was mishamesh. He did the service betuma. He was impure. It's not a chiv malkos. It's not allowed. Similarly, zar sheshimesh b'mikdash. Let's say that a non-Kohen went into the Kohen areas, right? The Ezras Kohanim. And he went in and he did an avoda that was specific to Kohanim. This is a machlokes on Rabbi Kiva Omer b'chenek, he gets chenek. B'chacham Omer b'dish shamayim. There is no Kanoim Pogenbo. And it's a machlokes as to what the punishment is. In this case of a zar, of a person who really shouldn't be Yisrael, who goes into function like a Kohen, machlokes on it. We had said in the beginning of our Mishnah that Agone ves kisva, someone who steals a kisva, that he is going to be part of the unfortunate rule of Kanoim Pogenbo. Says the Gemara, my kisva, Rabbi Yehuda kli shares. It's talking about the holy utensils. If a person steals a holy utensil from the Beis HaMikdash, if they catch you in the act, they can kill you on the spot, however they wish. They're not following regular protocols. They could punch you, they could stab you, they could shoot you. Doesn't matter. Free reign. How do we know that the word kisva has a relationship to the kli shares, to the kalim of the Beis HaMikdash? Because, says the Gemara, quoting a pasuk, this is a pasuk in Bamidbar, the pasuk says, "Ve'es kisos hanosech." Word kisos is similar to kisva. Okay. Ve'echi remiza, that this person can be killed. How do we know that we have this sin of kanoim pogembo if someone were to steal the kalim of the Beis HaMikdash? Because the next pasuk says, it's actually just a few psukim later, it says, "V'lo yavo liros kivala es hakodesh v'mesu." They should not come to see the swallowing of or the hiding of that which they stole. from the holies and they die. So a little bit of a remez in the psukim. Remember, we don't really need a remez because it's halacha l'moshe misinai. We don't need to have all the regular rigor around Mari Makomos because halachos l'moshe misinai are they're things that are way beyond our comprehension. Obviously, it's all beyond our comprehension, but any mitzvah we can't understand. But certainly one that doesn't follow the regular flow, difficult to comprehend. What's the case for Hamakalil Bekosem? Someone who curses someone Bekosem, we'll see that it's actually recognizing over here certain Avodah Zarah. Tani Rav Yosef, Yake Kosem es Kosmo. May that which is an idol curse that which made it a deity. So let's say that a person believes that a little stone in the shape of a person could be a deity. So that deity, lowercase d, that deity, which is a deity which got its koach from the Eibishter, made a small little idol that got koach from the Eibishter be able to be yakeh, to hit or destroy the real Eibishter, which is of course ridiculous. Rabbanon v'itema Rabba Bar Mori Arme, they said the line was a little bit different. Yakehu kosem lo ulakono ulemikno. That what we want is for this idol to be able to harm that which is greater than him, and that is to kill the one who the kosem is the idol himself. Yakeu kosem lo, the person who is doing this, ulakono, to his maker, ulemikno, and to the one who is the provider. So that's what we're talking about in our Mishnah when it says "Amakalel bekosem." One of these phraseologies that speaks to my deity, again lowercase d, my avodah zarah, being more powerful than a Kadosh Baruch Hu. I don't even understand the Havamina. How could anyone believe in an inanimate object that, even if it got power from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, by definition it's subservient too. It's underneath. It's very weird. On the bottom line of Pei Aleph Amud Beis, and now we're going to be speaking about this sugya for the rest of the night, which is the Haboel Aramis. If a person cohabits with a bas oved kochavim, with a goya, what's the din? So
a differentiation if it's really an akum or it's just anyone who's not Jewish.
It seems like it's anyone who's not Jewish. I don't see why we would make a distinction. Yeah, but I don't. I could be wrong. I don't think so. I think it's just a reference to a guy. No, anybody? I think so. I didn't look it up. Bamine Rav Kahana Meirad Lo Pagu Bo Kanoin Mahu. So let's say that someone was there, they had the opportunity to kill someone who was being boel on Aramis, and he didn't. So Lo Pagu Bo Kanoin. Rashi says, Ma Onesh Badavar. So says the Gemara, In Shei Rav Lagamre. Rav forgot his teachings. Sounds pretty rare. Ikayu Rav Kahana Bechalme. When Rav Kahana was sleeping, he had a dream, and in his dream they read him the following pasuk. This pasuk can be found in Malachi. Bagda Yehuda v'soiva ne'esasa b'Yisrael v'Yerushalayim ki chilel Yehuda kodesh Hashem asher ahev uva'al bas el nechar. So this was what they read in his dream. Asa Amar Le, and then Rav Kahana, who had this dream, went over to Rav, who had forgotten his Torah, and he said, Amar Le hachi ikaryun. This was the pasuk that was read to me in my dream. So says the Gemara, Ad Kirei Rav L'Gemara. Then Rav remembered what was going on. He remembered the din in such a case. Let's get our case clear before we explain how Rav understands the pasuk. What happens if the Kanoim are not Pogimbo, right? You had the opportunity and you swung and missed. It says the Gemara, what does the pasuk mean when it says Bag does Yehuda, Zu avodas kochavim? How do we know that that's a reference to avodas kochavim? V'chenu omer, v'chen begadtem bi, beis Yisrael ne'um Hashem. What did the pasuk that Rav Kahana heard in his dream? What did the pasuk mean when it said "V'toiva ne'es sabi Yisrael v'Yerushalayim"? Ze mishkav zachor. This is the iser of two men cohabiting. Chenu omer ve'es zachar lo sishkav mishkav v'isha toevahi. That's considered to be an abominable ma'aseh. The next part of the pasuk, Kichilel Yehuda kodesh Hashem zu zona. This is a reference to a person who's with a zona. V'chenu omer lo. I think the pasuk is lo sihek teisha. Lo siyek desha mibenos Yisrael. Ubal bas el nechar. What does that part of the pasuk mean that was in Rav Kahana's dream? Za'abal akusis. This is a reference to someone who cohabits with a kusi. This actually is a little bit of a different language to Texas question. We said Bas Avodas Kochavim, right? Mishnah said Aramis. Rashi says that that's talking about a Bas Avodas Kochavim. And our Gemara here, a quarter of the way down, it says Kusis, which is a regular goy, possibly.
Is this a hint to interchangeability?
It could be. It could be. And in fact, in the Dfus Yashan, in the old Dfus I have on the side here, Tzarech Lomar al HaGoya, V'chein b'chol ha'amud goya b'makom kusis.
That's everybody.
Dvusim Yashanim. So the original texts of the Gemara was super broad. Would have been nice if I would have remembered in my 4 preparations that the Gemara says it 8 lines later, but I didn't remember. So,
That's why it changed.
oh, censors.
Obvious.
People don't want to. They don't want to be punished, so it's only a Bas Avodas Kochavim. But I'm not even sure that's a svara. I think
it was done so that otherwise the Gemara appeared to be looking down on all.
But like today, we use the term.
no, but Shas is replete with references of distinction. It's not, yeah, avodim.
We very often.
We do as a comfortable term.
Comfortable.
Right.
Right. You're wondering why it.
I'm wondering. No, I'm saying that the reason why the Mishnah said, I should say, the reason why Rashi says Bas Avodas Kochavim is not to pander to politics. Right.
So.
Rashi?
No idea.
I can't imagine. I don't know.
That actually is an interesting question. So
There are
there's
some
someone
more
else.
interesting questions, right? At what point did it?
When did this come in?
Yeah, very. It's that guy in the OU app that's.
Oh.
You has an app. Wait, what's an
Broit. That guy?
Him too, yeah, he's actually really good. It's the other guy.
I can't remember his name.
Henry Abrams.
Oh, Henry Abramson.
Yeah.
I used to work at that place.
We're aware.
3 months, I forgot everything. Just kidding. We're actually doing a project with my own department now. Yeah, just bashkacha, the way things work out. Maybe 2 projects.
Put all that effort into education over the last.
I know, I've been working hard. So anyways, just back to Texas, is basically that, yes, it seems to apply across the board. And these are Maisim B'chol Yom. Is
Today, we use them interchangeably anyway.
Yeah, well, today they're to be a real bar avodah zaras. Although some Rishonim by the Christians because they believe in the Trinity. That's
Far East stuff.
right. So after all of this, Rav says, "Uchsiv Basrei." The pasuk says in conclusion of all of this, this is a pasuk again in Malachi. Yachreis Hashem leish asher yasena er v'ona Yaakov Elokei Yaakov u'magish mincha la'Hashem tzvakos. That there is Yachreis. What word does that sound like? Kares. So what was our initial question? Our initial question's at the top of the page. Rav Kahana asked Rav, Lo pego bo kanoin mahu. Nobody saw what happened. How do these people get punished? So the answer is that they're going to get kares. Not just, I guess it's just for boel aramis. It's for a lot of things, whatever's in the pasuk. Avodah zara, mishkav zachar, being with a zona, and being with a kusis. Zona, even if she's a yid, that has to be, because otherwise you're down for the count no matter what, if she's a goy.
It's repetitive.
Right, be repetitive. And what's the drush on this last piece, the pasuk that says er ve'ona? Im tamid chacham hu, if a tamid chacham cohabits with any of these people, lo yelo er, he will not have a child who will be a ben Torah, who will be one who like awakens conversation or initiates conversation b'chachamim. Ve'ona b'talmidim. He will also not be able to answer questions of his talmidim. Im kohen, who if the person who breaks these rules and cohabits with an aramis is a kohen, lo yichya lo ben magish mincha la'Hashem tzvakos, then that child will no longer be zochet to merit to be serving in the Beis Hamikdash. Amr Rabbi Chia bar Avuya, kol haba lakusis kilu nischatin ba'avodas kochavim. Anyone who is intimate with a kusis, again, let's just goya, whatever. That's what the Tfusim Yeshanim seem to say. It's as though they married the idol itself. Dechsivu val bas el nechar. Chibas yesh el nechar. And they're inanimate objects. They don't have daughters. And lezeha ba'al kusis. That's just referencing to someone who sleeps with a kusis, and that's a keilu that they married the avodah zara. Reb Chia bar Avuya, same person. That's why we bring him here again. Kasav al galgalto shal Yehoyakim. On the skull of Yehoyakim, who was not so righteous, they found his skull in Yerushalayim. He was toward the end of all the kings of Eretz Yisrael. There was the third to last king. And on his skull was engraved, Zos ve'od acheres. This, meaning you will die already. Ve'od acheres, you're going to have another death even after you died. And we'll see over the course of the Gemara what this is referring to. Zekeno de Rabbi Preda, Ashkachahu Golgalta. The grandfather of Rabbi Preda found the skull. Dehavas Shadya b'Sha'arei Yerushalayim. He found it at the gates of Yerushalayim. V'havakasav ilave, and he saw written on this skull exactly like we saw from Yehoyakim, Zos ve'od acheres. So Kavra, he felt that it wasn't appropriate for this body to not be buried. I don't know if it's a Mace Mitzvah proper, but if you see a skull on the road, you should bury it. You should bury it. So he buried it. V'hadar navug. After he buried it, it protruded through the ground again. Kavra v'hadar navug. He buried it a couple of times, and it kept protruding out again. So then he knew, the grandfather of Rav Preda, who was Rav Chia bar Avuya, he said, Omar Hai Golgalta Shal Yehoyakim. This must be the skull of Yehoyakim. D'chsivei kfuras chamor yikaver. He'll have the burial of a donkey. Sachov, he will be dragged. V'hashleich mihala l'shar Yerushalayim. He'll be dragged and thrown from where he is to the gates of Yerushalayim. Afal pikein. The Zayda of Rav Preda said, Omar malkahu v'lav orach ar livzuye. It's not right. Pasnish to leave the skull of a king. Okay, he wasn't a good guy, but people deserve a kvura. We have a mitzvah d'oraisa to bury people. So it says the Gemara Shakla, he took the skull. Again, this is Rav Chia bar Avuya, which is the grandfather of Rav Preda. Karcha b'shiroi, he wrapped up the skull in silk. Ve'osva b'sifta, and he put it in his house in a particular place, like on a table in the house. Asayt bi, so his wife came home one day and saw that there was a skull in a box on the counter in the kitchen. Like, it's not normal, right? Chazisa, she saw it. Nafka, she took it out. Amra lahu l'shiva vasaha, and she's told her friends about it. At Mahjong that week, they were all schmoozing. Amri la, you know why your husband has this skull, right? Hi the itza kamaisehi. This is from his first wife. The lo kaminshila. He can't seem to forget about the first wife. So shagarta l'tanur v'kalsa. So Rav Chia's current wife took the skull, stuck it in a kiln, and torched the daylights out of this skull. Gone. Kiasa, when Rav Chia bar Avuya came home and he saw that the skull was gone and there were ashes all over the oven. Amar, he said, this is what it means. He's going to have a double death. It was a male skull. Okay, so she wasn't a bone doctor. What did she know? So that's what the Gemara says. Fascinating story. 3/4 of the way down on Pei Beis Amud, the Gemara says, Ki Aser Rav Dimi, Amar, Beistinu Shel Chashmonai Gaz Rabba Lakusis Chayv Lem Mishum Nashka, that if there is a person who cohabits with a kusis, he's chayev for 4 things. Nun, Shin, Gimel, Aleph. We'll detail them in a moment. Ki Aser Ravin Amar Mishum Nashkaz. He says, no, 3 of them are the same, but the last one's not. What are these Isurim? So the Gemara says, Nida, Shifcha, Goya, and Zona. If a man sleeps with a kusis, he violates the Isser of Nida, he violates the Isser of Shifcha, he violates the Isser of Goya, and he violates the Isser of Zona. I didn't know that. I thought that Nida was a din that was limited to Yidden.
What about you there? Yeah, 100%. If there's no kedusha, there's no. Right, it's, and Afopi Shadam Kusis Kedam Behema, we call Makom, Mius, the Hill, the Kedusha Sashambu. Okay, but that's not a din. Right.
All of these are din. Yeah. I didn't see it until right now.
But that's not a din kare. Mius. Not right. That's fascinating.
And only if she's a nida then. If it's about the mius, it's not about the halachic status.
She never went to the mikvah.
I'm saying no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying does nida mean only when she's in her menstrual cycle?
I guess.
Because what's the mius if it?
Because she can never become public.
What's the mius if there's not active dam?
So you're assuming it's during the time.
It would be nida if in fact she was menstrual, because you can't. Otherwise, the mius component is it's an odd phraseology.
Unless it's
just that she's ever had damnida.
What?
could be a Torah spine too.
What does that mean?
I mean, being mius is just.
Oh, yeah, it could be. Okay, all of that is one shita. That's nashgaz. Aval mishum ishus, which would have been the aleph, leslu. So here, that would have been nashga, that's what Rav Dimi said, that it was nashga, that the last one was not zona, but it was ishus, if she was married. But the other shita holds no, leslu. They have no formal kedushin. The kedushin of a goy is a zero.
I wonder if this is one instance where kusis literally means kusis and it's not a stand-in for all non-Jews. Because in that case, it's
No, but
like a suffix if they're Jewish.
correct. But then Rashi's language is weird because Rashi says it's about mius. If what you're saying is true, then they have a potential status as a yid, it's a suffix doraisa. So, but the other shita holds that there is no aleph, right? Ravin says it's nashkaz. The last one is because of zona, because the first shita Rav Dimi holds that there is eshes ish. Ravin says laslo, and the idach. What would the other shita say? Nishayu vade lo mifkare. You're right. They're not. There's no kedushin, but they're still a monogamous couple. Most people are monogamous, right? So because that's true, vade lo mifkare. Amar Rav Chizda, let's say that a person has an opportunity to be a kanoi, but he balks and he goes to ask a shaila and says, "Can I be a kanoi and be pogea?" We don't tell him that he's allowed to be a kanoi. You got to know the halachos yourself. You have to know that you're a kanoi, and then you can do the maisa. And then we'll see by Pinchas that he did a good thing, even though the shvatim didn't really like everything he did, which we'll get into shortly. It's Marnami similarly. Amar Rabba Barachana Amar Rabbi Yochanan Abba Limelech Ein Morno. V'laod Elash Impiresh Zimri V'hargo Pinchas Nerag Alav. Not only that, but had it been that when Zimri and Cosby were together, Zimri ben Salu and Cosby Vastzur, that when they were together, that had they separated their bodies from one another, and Pinchas killed them then, so then Nerag Alav, Pinchas would have been killed. The din of Kanai Pogam was only B'Shas Maisa. It's not after the fact. So if they would have stopped with the Tashma Shamita, then you can't be a Kana anymore. And if Pinchas would have killed them then, he would have been Nerag Alav. And not only that, Nefach Zimri V'hargo LePinchas, Ein Nerag Alav Shahare Rodefu. Such a unique din of you're living between the shadows, because you are a Kana Pogambo. You have every right to kill Halach L'Mosh Misinai, but you're also a Rodef to the people that you're about to kill. So that means you really are living in between, because you're allowed to kill them, but you're also a rodef, which means they're allowed to kill you. So in that case, no matter who kills who, everyone's off the hook. There's no hereg in those cases, because each of them had a rationale that was permitted by Jewish law, one a halacha l'mosh misinai, one a din in the Torah, that good to go. Okay, now we're going to get into the whole story of Zimri ben Salu, just to say out loud. Zimri ben Salu was Shlumiel ben Tzuri Shadai. He was the Nasi for Shevet Shimon. And we're going to see that he was not such a Gishmak guy, obviously, at this point. And he had a lot of kashas against Moshe Rabbeinu. Vayomer Moshe el Shovtei Yisrael. If you look at the whole pasuk, El Shovtei Yisrael, Hirgu Ish Anashav Anitzmadim Leval Peor. The pasuk in Bamidbar Parakav Hey was where Moshe was telling the judges of Eretz Yisrael, the judges of the Jewish people, I should say, that anyone who was involved in the Isser of Baal Peor, that they should be killed. Halach Shivto Shel Shimon Eitzel Zimri ben Salu. So the people of Shimon went to their Nasi, which was Zimri ben Salu, Shlomiel ben Tzuri Shadar. Amrulo Hein Danadin and Nefashas Vatayoshiv V'Shosek. Get up, come help the people. We're getting decimated over here because of Baal Peor. But things were not good. Ma'asa, what did Zimri do? Amad v'kibetz chavdal elf misrael. He got 24,000 Jews to come with him. V'halach etzel Cosby, and he went over to Cosby Vastur, who was a Midianite princess, beautiful woman it seems. Amar la hashmi'ili, I want you to hear me, which is code word for soliciting her for intimacy. So that's what he said to her, and the Gemara continues. Amar lo bas melech ani, I'm a princess. V'chein sivali abba, My father actually told me, Lo tishmi lo legadol shebehem. I only want to cohabit with the leader of the Jewish people, with Moshe. So then Zimri gets clever. Amar la, avhu nasi shevet. Who? He, referring to himself. I'm also the head of a shevet. Moshe is the head of shevet Levi. I'm the head of shevet. I'm good. I'm a good guy. V'lo od ela shehu gadol mimenu shehu sheni lebeten v'hu shlishi lebeten. It says the Gemara, not only that, but Shimon was the second-born child, Reuven, Shimon. And what number child was Moshe? He was number 3, Aaron, Miriam, and then Moshe. So he says, I'm greater. This is what he says to this woman. And then, Tafsa bivlorisa, he grabs her by the braid of her hair, Ve'ivia eitzel Moshe. And listen to the chutzpah. This is what Zimri ben Salu, who is Shlumiel ben Turi Shadoin, says to Moshe. Amar lo, ben Amram, a disparaging language. We don't call sophisticated people like that. Asura, zu asura o muteres. This Midianite woman, is she allowed or is she not allowed? Let's remember that Moshe married a Midianite woman, right? V'im tomar asura, bas Yisro, mi hitira lach. Givaldik. It's a great question. So says the Gemara, this is a double for today, where the greats forgot their Torah. Nis alma mimenu halacha. He forgot the halacha of Kanaim Pogambo, and he would have been allowed to kill this person under those circumstances. What? If he caught Zimri and Cosby cohabiting, he could have killed him.
But not just that wouldn't answer the question.
No. The actual answer to the question is not found in the Gemara. The actual answer to the question is that Moshe got married to a Midianite woman before Kabbalah Satorah, and Zimri was after Kabbalah Satorah. So before Kabbalah Satorah, if you were at Har Sinai, a gerus happened. Everybody's a Yid, Givaldik. His marriage went from both of them being Goyim to both of them being Yidden, because Moshe wasn't a Jew either. There were no Jews. But Zimri was a Yid already, because he's post Har Sinai. So what kind of question is that? So says the Gemara, Go kulam b'v'chia. Everyone was wailing out, crying. Behind the bochim Pesach oel moed. This gives so much color to the psukim and chumash for the Balei Kriya in the room. Uchsi vayar Pinchas ben Elazar. Pinchas all of a sudden started paying attention to what was going on. Ma'ara machlokas tanoim. What it was that Pinchas saw that made him jump into action. So one possibility is Amar Rav Ra Ma'isa v'nizkar halacha. He saw what was going on. He remembered the halacha. Amar Lo. He says to Moshe, Achi avi abba. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen. Aaron's a brother. So he says, you are the, he says to Moshe, so Pinchas says to Moshe, you are my great uncle. Lo kachli ma'adatani b'ridutcha me Har Sinai. You taught me when you came down from Har Sinai, you taught us Torah. And Moshe is like, you're 100% right. I don't know what happened. Yeah.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
No, I know. I'm just.
It would imply that they're kind of sort of all interchangeable.
It does imply that. I think we kind of picked up the hint as we navigated it.
When you learn the parsha, it's all.
What do you mean when you learn the parsha?
When you learn the parsha Midbar of Pinchas, it's Balaram.
Right. Lo yodea. So Amar Lo, what does Moshe say back to Pinchas? Pinchas jogged his memory. Moshe says back to him, Amar Lo, Kraina de Igrasa, the one who reads the letter, Ihu lehabe parvanka, he should be the messenger. So this was Moshe hinting to Pinchas, you can be the Kanai. Good. All of that is one possibility of what it was that Pinchas saw, that he saw what was going on. He remembered Allah. Ushmuel Amar, no. Shmuel said he didn't see what was going on with Zimri and Cosby. He didn't see anything yet. I should say, let me say one better. He didn't see Moshe. He didn't talk to Moshe. Ushmuel Amar, Ra she'ein chachma ve'ein tvuna ve'ein eitza neged Hashem. Hashem is the one that's in charge. And kol makom sheyesh chilul Hashem and cholken kavod l'Rav. We don't have to go get in line and ask a shaila to the Rav when there's kvod shamayim involved and you're a kanoi. You can kill. Don't go ask shailas. Go do what you're supposed to do. Rabbi Yitzchak Amar, Rabbi Lazar, Ra'a sheba melech v'hishchiz ba'am. He saw the people were getting killed from the Jewish people. So what did Pinchas do? So here was the kanos of Pinchas. He took a spear, mikan, This is a parenthetical comment. Unless you have a reason, you should not be bringing a weapon, a spear, into a base medrash. What did he do? This was the creativity of him. Well, here's what he did. Shalaf shinana. He took off the actual metal, the pointy part from the spear. V'nicha ba'on kalo, and he tucked it away in his inside jacket pocket. V'haya, turning to the top of Pei Beis Mid Beis, and we're going to go about 2/3 of the way down. V'haya nishan v'holech al ma'kalo, and Pinchas was walking with his staff. Remember, Pinchas was Shevet Levi. V'kevan shehigia etzel shivto shel Shimon, and remember, the Shevet of Shimon was inappropriate. Now we know that what was actually happening over there, which is that Zimri and Cosby were now actively being together within the Shevet of Shimon. So Pinchas went there to go break things up.
Where they were not with Moshe.
Correct. They went back to their Shevet. And Chora, they were being intimate at this point as well.
In a public fashion?
We'll see in a minute. Omar, Heichan Matzinu Sheshifto Shalevi Gadol Mishal Shimon. Oh, you guys think that you Shimonites are the only ones who like to do Averas. We're not above the Averas. This was all a ruse for Pinchas to get into the room so he could be a Kanan. Because that's what Moshe told him. He says, crying into Igrasa, you get to be the Parvanka. So he said, Givaldik. So Pinchas is like, I'm a Kanan, I have no problem. I'm going to go kill the guy. So he goes in. So Amru, the people at the gates of the Shevet of Shimon, Amru, Hanichula, Afu Lasos Tzracha. He has needs too. These are his physical needs. This is what he wants to do. So he wanted to join the party. Afhu lasos tzrachav nichnas. The reason that he's here in our shevet is because he wants to be intimate with a guy. Hitiru prushin es hadavar. When they saw him, they said, "Oh, even the prushim are being matir. Even a guy like Pinchas, who's a stark ben Torah, he has fallen to the challenges as well." Amar Rav Yochanan, Shisha nisim naasu lo the Pinchas. There were 6 miracles that happened while he was standing there, and as we'll soon see, both prior to and during and after he stabbed them with a spear. Echad is that when you are giving out this warning, you still need to give a hasra. And even though he did, shahaylo lezimri lifrosh v'lo piresh. Once you get the warning that I'm a kanoi and I'm going to kill you, you stop the act that you're doing. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You stop the act. Your life is on the line, and he didn't stop. The second miracle was shahaylo ledaber v'lo diber. So what Zimri should have said is he should have gotten people to stop Moshe. He should have gotten his own people. That's what Rashi says. Ledaber lizok la'anshe shifto l'sayo. He should have had rally the troops. Yeah, just get people again. He was one guy. Ve'echad shekivim b'zachruso shel ish uvenakvuso shel isha. That when he stabbed them, it perfectly aligned, and the spear pierced both of their genitalia. Ve'echad shelo nishmatu min haromach. The next thing that was miraculous is that the two of them did not fall off of the spear. Their bodies remained pierced on the spear. Ve'echad sheba malach v'gbias hamashkof. And the next one was that how was he going to get the spear out with people sitting on top of it? The Eibishter sent a malach to raise the top of the door frame so they could get out without him having to put it down. Ve'echad sheba malach v'ishchis ba'am. Fine. And then the mashchas came and they started destroying people. Then Pinchas takes the spear with the 2 people sitting on them, stabbed on them. They're stuck on the right, and they brought a lifnei amakom, or the second line before the wide lines. Amar lefan ribono shalom al elu yiplu kafta al elef miyisrael. You got to stop. You got to stop. I got involved here. I did what you said. That's our Mishnah. Kanaim pogembo. Stop the mashchis. Stop the plague already. Shneimar vayihu amesim b'magefa arbaim v'esrim elef. Anu d'chsiv vayamod Pinchas vayfalel. Very interesting word, vayfalel. Well, we know it's from the word tefillah is from the shoresh of palal, which means justice or fight, as we'll soon see. Amar Rebbe Lazar vayispalel with a saflo ne'emar el vayfalel. V'lamid kaviyachol shasa palilo sin kono. He wanted to fight with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. You got to stop. He's pushing very hard. It's not regular tefillah where you're soft and gentle. He's pushing very hard. My Rabbanim gave me a phrase for this. It's called azus de kedusha. It's when you're being brazen while you're being holy. And you're talking fierce with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. You need to get the hostages out now. You're not talking nice. You're not being pleasant. You're being aggressive because something really is wrong. So that's what was going on. Bikshu Malachi Yashar Sadachvo. Malachi Yashar wanted to say, who's this chutzpaniak who is standing there with a spear with 2 people on it speaking rudely to you? Amar Lana Kadosh Baruch Hu says, Malachi Yashar Senichulo, Kanoi ben Kanoihu. Who was his grandfather? Aaron HaKohen. Meshiv Chema ben Meshiv Chemahu. He has lowered my anger. Pinchas has lowered my anger, the Eibishter says, because Kanoim Pogimbo. And Aaron HaKohen was Aaron HaKohen. Now, after all of this, still, the Shvatim were still making fun of him. Ischil Shvatim vaznoso. Isim ben puti zeh shepitem avi imo agolim lavodas kochavim v'harag nasi shevet miYisrael. He says, "Look at this guy. He's his family is from Yisro. You know, and you're telling me that he's the one who killed a nasi from the Jewish people. Therefore, ba'kasav yachasu Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron Cohen. That's why the pasuk says 3 generations. Why? We don't always say 3 generations. We ask this by the Megillah. Why does it say Ben Yemini, Ben Kish, Ishimini? Why do we say all the different names? There's always an answer for that. Why did it say it over here? Amar Kodesh Baruch Hu. L'Moshe haktem lo shalom shenemar l'chein emor yininis no sein lo es brisi shalom v'ruya kapara zu shetei mechaperes v'holechas lolam. He did a beautiful thing, and we had to have a triple name, Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron Cohen, to show that what he did was actually a good thing. Some of the details, obviously, this is homiletical. Amar of Nachman, Amar Rav, Mai dechsiv zarzir masnaim, the one who had zrizus with their loins, O tayish, we don't know what the word tayish as soon as he means to tire, umelech al kum imo. So says the Gemara, the word zarzir in Gematria, dalid meos 400 ve'esrim ve'arba, 424 be'ilos bal osa rasha osa hayom. He was with her 424 times. Obviously, it's a homily, and the Gemara says it's just a gematria of zarzir. Behimtin lo pinchas ashatosh ashkocho, and that's why it says taish in the pasuk. He waited until Zimri was more tired. Who eno yodea? Pinchas didn't know shemelech al kumimo. That's the rest of the pasuk, that the master of al kum that no one could go up against was standing with him. Meaning he didn't really need to wait, but he was using the svar of a person. I'm going to wait till he's tired before I stab him. Masnisa.
Are you
Lo
still
yodem.
called a kanoi at that point? Is it around all that time?
You're a kanoi because the mice is the parameter of the isser is the mice.
You hear what I'm saying?
100%.
You're such a kanoi that you
But
can't handle it.
Yeah, but he wanted to be
400.
But he wanted to be successful. And remember also that the Svarim write that this is not 424. Again, it's not, again, I don't know what it means, but it doesn't mean 424. And the Masnisa Tana, halfway done on Pebeis and Pebeis, and the Mishnah teaches that Shanasa Kibetza, Shishim, Tana Shishim, he was with her 60 times, with Cosby 60 times, Shanasa Kibetza Hamuzeres, until he was like an egg that was scrambled, which is a reference to his own beitzim. And reference to there being so much zera that she was like a garden where there was so much water. Amarav Kahano Moshava Beisa, the seat that she was sitting on was a Beisa, which is obviously massive, and it's obviously just a reference to what was going on. Tani Rabbi Yosef Kever Shala Amma, that her uterus opened the width of an Amma, which of course is impossible. So all of these are just to say that he was being very inappropriate, and it was a massive avera. 2/3 of the way down, and we're almost done for the day. We have about 7 or 8 lines left. Amar of Sheshes, lo kazbi shema, ela shvilanoi basur shema. Her name was Shvilanoi, not Cosby Basur. Her real name was Shvilanoi. V'lama shema Cosby. Why did she get the name Cosby? It wasn't complimentary. It was because Shekizba be'avia, she deceived her father. What did her father send her to do? To sleep with the leader of the Jewish people. Not Zimri. That was Moshe. So she was deceitful. So they named her Cosby. And then the Gemara says, Cosby, another reason why her name was Cosby was Sha'amra le'aviha, she was so committed to killing the Jews, Cosby, through my slaughtering, amzeh. Right? He said, through what I'm doing, through my promiscuity, I want the Jewish people to be destroyed. And the name Shvilnoi we'll see in this reference here as well, directly about her. In Kanile Urbani, between the reeds and the quiet places, Shvilnoi my baya. What is she doing there? Bahadi Kalfi de Kani, Shvilnoi my baya. What is she doing in these inappropriate places? And it became the phrase of the day, her name, which is not a geshmak compliment. And the Gemara then says, Gafsa le'ima. He actually turned her own mother into a woman who was referred to as a harlot. And Rashi says that they said about her mother that Zona Basa Zona. Where did you learn this behavior from? Cosby had to learn it from somewhere. So they then were speaking disparagingly about Cosby's mother because she must have learned something at home. Lastly for today, Amar Rav Yochanan, Chamisha Shemos Yeshlo. Zimri had 5 names. Zimri, I should say, Uben Salu, Bishaul, Uben Haknanis, Ushlomiel ben Tzuri Shadoi. Zimri al Shenaas Kebetza Hamuzeres, that because of the Tashmish Amita, his Beitzim were ruined, seemingly of some kind, or the Zera was no longer strong Zera. Ben Salu al Shehisli Avonos Shel Mishpachto, because he cast a concern about Avonos in his own family. Shaul al Shehishel Atzmo L'Dvar Avera, he allowed himself to be used for Dvar Avera. Ben Haknani is al She'asa Ma'aseh Knan, he did something that he shouldn't have done, he did a Ma'aseh Knan. Umashimo, what was his actual name? Shlomiel ben Tzuri Shadoi Shimon. This we find in the Laning. We see his name, Parshas Shlach, and many other places. This is a name that's pretty regular. So this is all of the backstory of Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen. This is, to conclude for the day, this is what the Mishnah meant with Kanoim Pogambo. That in a circumstance where you are a Kanoim, you have to actually be a Kanoim, and you know all the halachos, it's not extra legal, it's halacha l'moshe misinai. You can kill the people that are mentioned in our Mishnah. If you steal a kisva, if there's a case of Mikal Kosem, and if you are Boel and Aramis. We'll stop right here. Wishing you all a beautiful night.